So today we're going to do equivalent ratios and ratio tables. So if you remember from the last lesson, there are different types of ratios. There's part to part, part to whole, and whole to part. And there's also 3 different ways to write them. So fractions, colon, or the word to. So now we're going to discuss equivalent ratios. So make sure you are following along and make sure you are writing this with me. So we're going to write equivalent. So equivalent ratios are ratios that describe the same relationship. They're very similar to equivalent fractions, only they're comparing 2 quantities. But other than that, they're going to look the same and we're going to make them the same. So equivalent ratios are made by either multiplying, so make sure you're writing this, or dividing each quantity in a ratio by the same number. So I remember when we did fractions a while ago, if you wanted to make an equivalent fraction, you just picked a number and multiplied it to the numerator and the denominator, but it had to be the same number. This is like the same exact thing, only we're calling them ratios because we're comparing 2 actual quantities. You can organize your equivalent ratios in a ratio table. This is sometimes very helpful. So let's take a look at the example on your notes. If it takes 4 cups of water and 3 lemons to make lemonade, if you double the recipe, you would have 8 cups of water to 6 cups of lemonade. So you're doubling both of the recipes. It will taste the same because they are equivalent ratios. So where you would use this in the real world, I do this all the time. I just did it for Christmas actually, is like if you have cupcakes and the recipe only calls for 12, but you want to make 36, you just multiply every single ingredient by 3, and then you'll have 36 cupcakes, but they'll all taste exactly the same because it's the same ratio. So you have to just make sure you do it to every ingredient, not just 1 or 2 of them. So let's look at this chart. This is called the ratio table to show the same type of thing. So they're saying fill in the blank. So you have to figure out, you're always starting with the original 2 numbers every single time. So in order to get from 4 to 12, you're either multiplying or dividing. So for this one, you're going to be multiplying by 3. So that's the only way you're getting from 4 to 12. So 4 times 3 is 12. Therefore, I would have to multiply the bottom recipe by 3, and that would be 9. So if you wanted to have, like triple your recipe, you would need 12 cups of water and 9 lemons, or 9 squeezed lemons. Okay, now we want to try 15. Here's the important part. You don't start from here. You start from the original every time. So I have to figure out how are we getting from 3 to 15. You're multiplying by 5. So now I take the original ingredient for the water and do the same thing, multiply it by 5. So 5 times 4 is 20. So if you wanted to have 5 times the amount of lemonade, you would need 20 cups of water and 15 squeezed lemons, and it would still taste exactly the same. You would just have more of it. Okay, so let's try some of these in the big ideas.